Hi, my name is Valerie Sherrard. I'm a Miramichi writer. I wasn't born in Miramichi, but I do definitely think of myself as a Miramichier. It's where I've spent most of my life. My dad was a third generation Miramichier, and he was in the armed forces, so he was stationed here and there, and as a result I was born out west. Some of my books take place out west because I have had a sense of wanting to know a little bit about the place I was born. But other books that I've written have been based in Miramichi, and others yet have not had any specific location, except that, of course, they're Canadian. The story I'd like to read from today is called Driftwood, and it is set here in Miramichi at a very specific location, Schooner Point Cabins. And this story, like all of my stories, is for young people. I write books mostly for teens and middle grade, but I also have some picture books for the younger ones. In this story, my main character, Adam, and his family have come from Heartland, where the world's longest covered bridge is, and they're spending the summer vacationing here at the Schooner Point Cabins. So the first thing that happens, of course, when a family arrives in a new place is the kids want to explore. So he helps his folks unload the car and everything, and then they tell him he can go take a look around. But his mother gives him one instruction, which is do not go in the water, because of course they're near water. So here's what Adam does. As soon as I was sure I couldn't be seen from our cabin, I tugged off my shoes and put them on the ground. Then I made my way down across the rocks to the water's edge. I wasn't going in or anything. I just wanted to test the water and walk on the sand without shoes. I was wiggling my toes in the water when something came flying through the air and landed near me with a big splash. My mouth dropped open when I saw that it was one of my shoes. I stared at it as it bobbed for a second and then sank out of sight. My brain hardly had time to take this in before a voice called out from behind me. "What's the big idea leaving your stinky old shoes around to smell up the place?" I turned and saw a kid around my age standing halfway down the bank. He was holding up the other shoe, and before I could say anything, it followed the first one through the air and into the water. "Hey," I said. At that, the kid turned and ran back up over the bank and out of sight. I rolled my jeans up to the knee and waded slowly out to where the first shoe had landed. The waves were lapping close to my rolled up pants, but I was pretty sure I could stay dry if I was careful. I got the first shoe and was almost to the second one when something swam by and brushed against my ankle. Of course it didn't actually scare me, but I jumped a bit because I hadn't been expecting it. My right foot came down on a slippery smooth stone and shot out from under me. I grabbed at the air, which did not help at all. The next splash I heard was my butt hitting the water. I scrambled back to my feet as fast as I could, grabbed the other shoe, and made my way back to the shore. Plunking down on a large rock, I dumped water out of the shoes and put them on the ground beside me. I wondered how long they would take to dry, not that it really mattered. My clothes were soaked, and I was going to have to explain how I got wet to my mom. A movement behind me caught my attention while I was thinking this through. When I turned, I saw a face peeking at me from between two trees. It was the kid who'd thrown my shoes in the water. "Hi," he said. I didn't answer as I swiveled my head back to face the water again. But besides being a jerk who throws people's shoes in the river, it seemed like he couldn't take a hint. He came closer, taking a step forward and pausing, I suppose, to see if I was going to go after him. He probably figured he had a good chance to outrun me if I did. After all, he was wearing shoes. I ignored him right until he sat down a couple of feet away. "You're wet," he said. I glared at him. "I guess you fell in the water, huh?" he said. "Thanks to you," I snapped. "Why'd you throw my shoes in?" "I don't know." He hung his head down like he was sorry, though I doubted it. "My mom said I had to go talk to you." "So you threw my shoes in the water?" "Yeah." He shook his head like he couldn't quite figure it out. He wasn't the only one. Well, now I'm going to get in trouble, and I might get grounded to the cabin or something, I said. Just because you're wet? My mom doesn't want me in the water by myself, I told him, even though it was a bit embarrassing to admit. She's going to freak out. Maybe you could dry off before you go back, then she won't know. I leaned over and squeezed the rolled up part of my jeans. Water dribbled down through my fingers. They're soaking, I said. They'll take forever to dry. My sister has a way to dry things really fast, he said. We could ask her what to do. I didn't see what it could hurt, so I shrugged, stood up, and followed him across the road, through a cluster of trees and across the grassy lawn to his cabin, number 3. My name's Joey, he said as we reached the door. I'm Adam, I told him. Sorry I threw your shoes in the water. It's okay. And that's an excerpt from Driftwood, set here in Miramichi.